You two hard-hitting journalists.
It was all smiles for Nambawan Super today as the fund celebrated the completion of the Nambawan Super Plaza. Located in downtown Port Moresby, this new development, a partnership between Nambawan Super and Lamana Development, was completed on time and within cost. For Nambawan Super, this is the first complete precinct development within the property space.
Our investment strategy has been focused on long-term returns and is actively managed with the objective of providing a CPI plus 2% return for our members. While there are short-term fluctuations, as we've seen with the economy over the last couple of years, Nambawan Super's long-term performance is on track.
These serviced apartments completed at a time when the economy is showing signs of improvement, especially with several major resource projects coming online in the next few months. Projects which will create demand for quality accommodation in this part of the central business district, with both buildings expected to be completely tenanted by year's end and provide steady income for Nambawan Super and ultimately returns to contributors.
This whole complex will return, we believe, an average of 50 million kina when fully tenanted. In fulfilling that strategy of long-term returns to our members, that will translate to over 1.5 billion kina over the next 3 years. That is just one of our projects.
But apart from the monetary value of this investment, Nambawan Super has been quick to point out that this project has also provided much-needed employment within the property sector, with the majority of workers from this project to move across to the Superfund's next big development, the Raintree Plaza in Waigani.
Also, one of the important points there is that you had 530 people employed, right? The skill set. So Super's not just about thinking of how we've actually built the buildings and have a return for members, but also there's those spin-off benefits across the economy. And that's an important thing that the super funds do, which seems to sometimes get lost along the way, is that we're actually investing, but we're investing into skill sets in training local people up into these areas.
Contributors were given the honor of officially opening Nambawan Super Plaza.
Thank you very much.
For contributors like Chief Sergeant Paul Unupite, this development represents yet another example of their fund's efforts in creating long-term investment which will bring benefits for many years to come for contributors and members of Nambawan Super.
I'm contributing for the last 35 years, and this is I am today, and I'm happy with the building. It will, as I said, it will bring a lot of good returns to the members, contributing members.
Whilst this multi-million kina development in Port Moresby represents a significant investment for the fund is also looking at expanding its investment portfolios in outside centres, particularly in Lae, Mount Hagen and Kokopo.
We know there's a lot of money going through Hagen. Hagen, when you go there, it looks very much like a cowboy town, but when you look at the money that flows through there, it's probably the third biggest business centre in the Pacific as a whole. So we think there might be, and it needs somebody like us to look at these investments, because other big investors might be too worried about risk. Whereas we think that being a fund that's owned by members who are present in the community, that our investments will be less at risk. So there's a whole bunch of factors that we have to take into account. There's Hagen, there's Lae. We are looking at a potential expansion of Gazelle Hotel in Kokopo, which we own, which has been very profitable. We have that in partnership with Eastern Britain Provincial Government and the Lihiran landowners. And so that's another thing that we're looking. Paul's always traveling everywhere, all over PNG.